I just ate some good pho 72, and I met this good guy. You don't have to say anything. I met this. What's your name?
No.
Nah?
Yeah.
I met Nah. He's a really cool guy. Good pho 72. What's up, everybody? Today I'm going to be talking about how to go from friends to a relationship. So stay tuned. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Life I Live Now with Pastor Anthony. If this is your first time to the channel, this is my life shared based on the scripture Galatians 2:20, focusing on the part of the scripture that says, the life I live now. First off, I want to apologize to everybody that I didn't release a video this last Thursday because I just really got busy this week, and I did shoot a bunch of stuff, but I just didn't like it, so I wanted to redo it. So after the release of my last video, someone reached out to me and asked me, look, how do I go from friendship to relationship? And today, this morning, it took me like all morning I started thinking about this. Before I answer this question, let me just read the scripture. It says, Philippians 2:1-4 says, is there any encouragement from belonging to Christ? Any comfort from His love? Any fellowship together in the Spirit? Are your hearts tender and compassionate? Then make me truly happy by agreeing wholeheartedly with each other, loving one another, and working together with one mind and one purpose. Don't be selfish. Don't try to impress others. Be humble, thinking of others as better than yourselves. Don't look out only for your own interests, but take an interest in others too. So, this is probably a question that gets asked to me like a lot. When I did the 2 relationship seminars back a couple years ago, or last year actually, this question was asked to me, and this is really difficult to answer. The only reason why it's difficult to answer is because it's case-by-case scenarios or case-by-case situations. So I just want to ask you, how close are you to this friend of yours? Have you talked about stuff? Have you talked about going into the next part of the relationship? Where are you at? Sorry about that, everybody. I had to change the locations here. There was a big loud, like, chopping trees and stuff. So ladies and gentlemen, I do have to be honest with you. There is such thing as best friends of the opposite sex, but I have to be really honest with you when I have to say this. There is such a thing, but 99.9% or maybe a little, maybe less than that, and from my experience and from what I hear about other people's experiences, is that there is a big chance in that whole situation that one of you likes the other or is attracted, and maybe they won't admit it, or maybe they're not being upfront with you. Even me, I was once in a situation where I had a best friend as a girl, and deep down inside I didn't admit it, but I liked the person. I really liked her, and that person would go to me about her guy problems and all this other stuff, but deep down I really liked that person. My wife went through a similar situation where she told me about where a guy was taking her out to dinner, taking her out to the movies. They were hanging out like they were a couple, and she thought that they were actually a couple, but turns out that the guy was just like, you're just my friend. Majority of the times that you have a friendship with someone likes the other person. So with that situation, if you're in that situation, then I suggest that you either be upfront with your feelings and tell that person what's up, or pray about it, whatever. But to me, actually, my advice to do is cut that relationship off. It'll be way better for you. You'll be liberated, and you'll feel much better about yourself. If I didn't cut these people out of my life, then I would have never met my wife, who really appreciates what I do for her, who really appreciates who I am to her. And honestly, depending on where you're at in your life, and depending on how close this relationship is, be honest with yourself and don't waste anybody's time, and don't waste your time. And that's the whole thing about being mindful about other people, like it said in that scripture I just read. And the reason I say that is because you want to save your time to actually be spending invested time with your future husband or your future wife. Me and my wife Alejandra was at a point of our life where we were ready to get into a relationship, and we were ready to settle down, and we were in a very mature place in our life. So with that said, it was easy to communicate what our intentions were. And I do have to say, in our first like hang out or date or whatever you want to call it, I made it clear right from the beginning that this is not a friendship thing that I'm like I'm gonna stay friends. I mean, of course I want to be friends, but it was kind of like, I'm not here to let it stay as friends, and here's my intentions. And the way I did that was by bringing a gift that wasn't like just some friendship gift or a iffy gift or something like that. It was a straight up rose. Here you go. I'm trying to be romantic in this first thing, and here's a rose. And then on top of that, the next part of the date where we were able to sit down and eat, I actually cast out some vision and started talking to her and saying, you know, this is where I'm at, this is who I am, and would you like to be a part of that? Or does your vision and my vision seem like something could work out together? When you establish something like that right from the beginning, then it's easy to transition from friends to a relationship. So the first advice I have to give for anybody that's trying to go from friends to relationship, number one is communication. And this is why I brought up that first scripture, because you want to be looking out for the best interest of that person and not just you. So to save yourself trouble from anything else, it's best to be upfront with that person. It's best to talk to that person, tell them how you feel about when it comes to dating, or when it comes to relationships. We want to remove the word dating. When it comes to relationships and things like that, it's best to be upfront. Whenever you talk to someone, whatever spectrum or whatever side of the fence you're on, or whatever, if you're receiving this or you're taking it, just do everything out of love. Be gentle. Remember, there are people that have feelings. You have feelings. That person has feelings, and you know, don't just cut them off. I'm gonna marry Jesus, and that's it. You know, be sensitive, okay, about how you're gonna communicate this kind of stuff to other people. Just remember, this should be a good thing. That, you know, hey, you know what? I'm trying to, you know, push this relationship to the next level, but I just want you to make sure that we're not going to stay friends, and you go from friendship to relationship. The second thing to do is to be honest with your intentions. If everything was established in the beginning, then yeah, it'll be easier to go from friends to relationship. It's so much easier if everything was just talked about in the beginning. Like I said earlier in the video, the first time I talked to my wife, I was upfront with her. The very first date, I was upfront with her. I told her what's up. I told her how I felt. This is where it's going, and this is where I wanted to go, and she was in agreement with that. And so the only next part after that was just to get to know each other. So if you haven't had that talk yet with this friend of yours, make sure it's the right time to have that talk. You know, make sure you know each other pretty well. Make sure that you're really comfortable to talk to this person and not get this big backlash just for saying something. Just make sure it's the right time, everything's right, and have this conversation. Whatever the case may be, that talk needs to happen. Like I said before, you don't want to waste that person's time. You don't want your time to be wasted, so it's good to bring that kind of stuff up. And the third thing is to cast a vision. No, really cast a vision. Don't just talk about your life and where you want it to go. Look, say this: these are the goals I have. Like I told my wife, I was like, I'm a pastor. This is where it's going. I tend to do this one day, and I tend to do this one day. And does that seem like something you could be a part of? And not trying to be arrogant about it and try to say, you know what, you got to be a part of this. It was more like, you know, does your vision and my vision, does that seem like something that could happen? I want to cast vision in the beginning only because of this. I remember one time I was 2 to 3 months into a relationship with a person, and that person, I brought up the fact that I wanted to be a pastor. At that time I was really young, and I was like, I want to be a pastor. And that person started saying to me, I don't know if I could ever be with a pastor. I don't know if I could be with a pastor, because I've seen pastors' wives and what they go through. I'm 2 to 3 months into this relationship, and I'm like, what am I supposed to say to you now? Like, where is this supposed to go? And now I'm thinking in my mind, like, man, this ain't my wife, this ain't my will of God. So what ended up happening was we broke up, you know, we started fighting, but it wasn't God's will. But still, if I just expressed that in the beginning of the relationship, I would have never went through with it. So again, to wrap this whole thing up, just remember, communication is key. And if you wanted to go from friends to relationship, then bring it up. Say, hey, you know what? Where is your life at right now? Here's the goals that I have, and could that be a possibility in the future? Another thing that I want to wrap this up with is that if this person is meet up to your standards and you guys are good friends, then why not give it a chance? You know, there's too many friendships that are out there and they don't give it a chance because, I don't know, they're looking for somebody else or they're looking for something. But if the person's up to your standards as far as they're serving God, they got a good job, you know, they're more mature in their life, then why not? Why not give that person a chance? If it's because you hung out with this person and yeah, the standards there are there, but this person needs to work on their attitude, then that's a whole different story. But if this person has met your standards, then go ahead. As long as it's in the will of God, I believe that it's time to go ahead and give that person a chance. And everybody, I hope this helps you. I hope this encourages you. If you're in a friendship, I'll be praying for you to see where that goes. And again, if you like this video, if this video helped out, like, share, and subscribe. God bless everybody. Remember to hit the like button on the bottom and to subscribe on the bottom. If you have any comments or if you have any other suggestions of how to go from friends to relationship, then go ahead and comment in the comment section below. God bless you guys.